Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to story time. This will be uploaded on the 24th of August, which is fairly soon, just a couple days. All right, a few things before I start. It is currently, what time is it? It's 1:54, August 22nd, so 2 days before. And for this one, since today is story time, I picked a few stories I found on Tumbler, and I didn't read the whole thing so that my my reactions would be super fresh. So I don't know the whole story, but I know a few. Like, I skimmed it real fast, and like I was like, it's qualified for this video for my channel. So I decided to make like a doc, and then I put in the links to the person that wrote it and also the stories. So I will also link that all down below in the video. And let's get right into it. All right, everything is gonna be on my phone. I'll screen record and then put it somewhere. Move over here a little bit. It'll probably be right here. All right, let's screen record. No sound. All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. This story is called Moments. Hey, still not asleep yet? I jumped and looked down, startled. There was him standing under the tree, smiling. He carried a small torch, and the light softly illuminated his handsome face and dark hair, making him even more striking than before. Well, Jessica's snores are too loud for my liking. He laughed and began to climb up the tree. I realized I was holding my breath and forced myself to relax without much success. Brandon and Ian too, gosh, how did they even manage that, I wonder? He sat next to me on the wooden panel, and I could feel the heat off his body radiating into the atmosphere. The cool air suddenly seemed more frigid than before. I let out an involuntary shiver. Cold? He asked, concern in his voice. A bit, I admitted. Well, I'm not surprised. He glanced at my t-shirt and shorts outfit and grinned at me. I laughed awkwardly, feeling vulnerable in my pajamas. I didn't bother to change before I came to the treehouse, located a short distance from the campsite, not expecting anyone else to be up this late. Want me to get your sweater? He offered. I shook my head, not wanting him to leave no matter how short the time. Another gust of cold wind blew towards us, and I forced back the shivers that rippled up my spine. He noticed it, though, and sighed. He shifted nearer to me, putting the torch aside. Hesitantly, he wrapped his arms around my shoulders. I let out a surprised gasp and instantly backed away. What was he doing? Well, I love warm hugs, but not now, I managed to say breathlessly, my heart thumping frantic beats. He didn't laugh at my lame joke. He just gazed at me. Suddenly, his expression became intense. Teresa. He softly spoke my name, shaping the words delicately. I've been wanting to ask this for a long time. You love me, isn't it? My mouth popped open in shock. How did he even know? For a while, I just stared at him, unable to utter even a single word. His mouth curled up in a knowing smile, and then he reached out and took my hand, slipping his fingers through mine. I looked at our hands twined together, mesmerized by the impossibility of this moment. 3 months ago, Ian came to find me. He told me that you've been having feelings for me since you saw me playing the guitar during the school's music festival. Ian! Oh man, that big mouth of his. I should have known. I pulled my hand away and covered my face that was beginning to flame up, embarrassment and shame sweeping through me. Don't be shy. He put his hands on my shoulders. I was grateful that he told me, actually. The second I saw you playing the piano during the concert, I knew I was a goner. You were so beautiful up there, with your long dark hair and your fair skin and that black dress. I put my hands down and stared at him, shocked as the words slowly sank in. You mean? Yes, isn't it obvious? I love you too, Teresa. No one else. Hearing those words aloud, seeing him smiling tenderly at me, it was all too good to believe. I dropped my gaze and slid away, fighting the joy and bliss bubbling inside me. But I'm not beautiful. I don't play the piano that well. I'm not good enough for you. I thought of Stella Morrison with her golden curls and her flying fingers on the cello as she played one of Beethoven's luxurious concertos, and her obvious interest in him too, as she flirted with him whenever she had the chance. Nonsense. He moved closer to me. I can feel his breath on my cheeks, warm and minty. Okay. He's prepared. My face got even hotter, but he didn't seem to notice as he continued. You're gorgeous to me, Teresa. Your piano diploma speaks for yourself, and you are good enough for me, maybe even more, but I don't care. All it matters is that I love you, and by some miracle, you love me too. Isn't it enough? Looking at his warm brown eyes, the adoration and love in them, my insecurities and fears were all of a sudden washed away. The joy and bliss engulfed me in a rush, and I smiled up at him. I've never been more certain. Yes, it's enough. Then there's no more to say. In a flash, he swept me into his arms, and before I could react, he leaned in and kissed me. His mouth warm and soft against mine. I let out a wild gasp, and his hands tightened around me. My hands instinctively reached out for him, locking my arms around his neck. One of his hands reached up to cup my cheek as he kissed me harder, our lips molding together feverishly. The sensation was entirely new. Everything was a blur of heat and fire, yet it didn't matter, not even close. After what seemed like a long, long time, he slowly pulled away. I swayed slightly, blinking, dizzy and overwhelmed from the kiss. He smiled and wrapped me into his arms again, murmuring huskily in my ear. I've waited for this since that very day. Me too, I whispered. That story, that was so cute. I love it. Thank you for coming up with that one. All right, let me go through my notes. Autumn Walks. Okay, this one is called Autumn Walks, and it's by the same author or same person. All right. She loved to walk. It was the only thing that cleared her head. It kept her grounded. When she walked, you could see her stress melt away. You could say she was a creature of habit. Every day it was the same path, the same music, the same worn-out tennis shoes. She loved walking alone and hated having to walk by people on the path. She said it was too awkward. I would know. We had gone to the same school forever, but we were never friends until that evening in the woods. I still can see her face surprised when she saw me coming. She looked down, trying to ignore me. I stopped in the path and she reluctantly pulled out her earbuds. Rosalie! Hey, Erin, she said, her voice barely audible. Oh. Oops. What are you doing here? Walking. What does it look like? She shifted uncomfortably, looking on the ground. Excuse me. Cool. Well, it was nice seeing you, but... Hey, what are you listening to? I grabbed her headphones and stuck one in my ear. It was some indie band I didn't know. Typical. I handed her the other one and started walking. Hey, aren't you forgetting something? She said and pointed to the earbud in my ear. What? Oh, I thought you were walking this way. I said, a smile spreading across my face. Yeah, I guess. She blushed and walked beside me. We stayed like this, silently making our way along the path for a while until she came to a sudden stop. Weren't you walking the other way? Yeah, I guess, but then I changed my mind. She looked confused and I couldn't help but laugh at her expression. Shouldn't you be going home? Crap, I forgot. I am not going to be saying bad words on this, so I'm gonna change the words a little bit. Crap, I forgot. This has been fun. I handed her earbud back and my chest felt light as I left. Our walks became routine and they quickly changed into long conversations. I became dependent on seeing her face every day. During these walks was when I fell in love with her. I saw a side of her no one else did. Rosalie, the girl who looked at every rock like it was special and every tree like it was gold. But our deep conversations turned into her obsessing over another guy, and just like one of the leaves she cherished, she was swept up by the wind and carried to another guy, and all I could do was watch as the girl I was in love with floated away. That's so sad. I mean, Thank you for the cute stories, though. This was great. All right, what's the next one? The story is called Nemesis. It's by the Caffeine Book Warrior. All right. Thank you for writing this. I'm excited to read it. All right. Oh, let me get a drink first. Oh, last story of the day. Sorry, I kept it a little bit short, but I thought these stories would be a little bit longer. Maybe I'm reading too fast? Okay. As the city's official supervillain, my greatest obsession is obviously its hero. His photo is beside my bed, on my desk, in my wallet. It's not weird. I claim frequently and repeatedly that my ultimate goal, is within my reach. I make sure to give him the time and opportunity to escape. Rambling, theatrical monologues usually do the trick. If he suspects I've been letting him escape, he's never pointed it out, and if accused, I would deny it adamantly. Without him, I could easily conquer the city, but without him, why would I want to? There's little I cherish more than our fights, matching wits and physical skills. My proximity to him. It's the only time when I can touch him, taste his breath, if only for an instant. Out of everyone I've battled, he's my only match. A day comes when he's not up to his usual standard. He seems distracted, almost preoccupied. He can't seem to meet my gaze as we do battle. I'd be offended, but I notice he seems to have lost weight, an almost imperceptible difference, but I'm very observant. I let him win, usually. I go for a truce, but I don't want to discourage him further if something's really troubling him. I know his secret identity, of course, and I've known it for years. I learned it long ago when our rivalry was young, and still naive enough to think that his eventual defeat was my actual goal. I'm sorry. Even then, part of me knew that I would never dare to use it against him. I never have. He's a lawyer. That's interesting to me. I wonder if his thirst for justice is in any way spurned by the injustice he must witness in the courtroom every day. In that regard, I can relate to him. By day, I work for social services, and I've seen injustices that make my stomach curdle just to think of them. As a villain, I can take actions that my mild-mannered alter ego would never dream of. Tonight, I float by his window, which I'm well aware is a creepy thing to do. Supervillains are above creepiness, but I need to make sure he's alright. His apartment isn't what I expected. Everything about him is larger than life, but it's humble and cozy. His bed made with plush lavender sheets, a small television in the corner, photos of family and friends on his bedside table, a stack of books. He comes in wearing pajamas, a cup of tea in one hand, and what must be his latest paperback in the other. He's wearing glasses. His hair is floofy. He looks small like this, fuzzy, and I'm reminded how much I'm invading his privacy, but I can't look away. I watch him read for over an hour, turning pages and sipping his tea, like he's an ordinary man and not someone who's moved buildings and stopped planes falling from the sky. Excuse me? Finally, he finishes his tea and sets his glasses aside on the bedside table, book, marking his paperback like it's something precious. He lies back and looks up at the ceiling, and a wistful look overtakes his beautiful features. He's looking at something, a fixed point on his ceiling. I have to crane my neck to follow his gaze, and it's me, on his ceiling, above his bed. It's a photo of me, clipped from the newspaper, it looks like. I recognized it as my very first bank robbery. My costume choice was hideous back then. Suddenly, I'm taking stock. I feel like the air's been sucked from my lungs. For all the times I've let him escape my clutches with a poorly timed monologue, for all the times I've been held back. I wonder if he's been holding back too. He'll stop me if I'm committing a simple robbery, but if I'm burning papers that bind struggling people to unnecessary debt, I've noticed he'll arrive just a little too late. If I'm dangling a corrupt business mogul out a window, he'll stop him from falling to his death, but he'll just expose his crimes and bring him justice afterwards. All this time, could he have admired me the way I admire him? Could he have I do a little dip, nearly dropping from the sky. I feel dizzy, like the ground's been yanked from beneath me, even though it's already stories below. I can't tell him what I've seen tonight. I can't pause our usual battles to discuss our feelings together, but I can't ignore them either. What do I do? That's the question. What do I do? The next day I take off of work, but not for my usual villainous activities. I spend a lot of time stressing over what I should wear, but ultimately settle on sweater vest and tie I usually wear for work days. I want him to see the side of me. I go back to his building just as a handsome lawyer is leaving in a perfectly pressed suit and reading glasses, folded newspaper under one arm, and had a coffee in his hand for his morning commute. When he sees me, he gives me a double take. I know he recognizes me, and my breath hitches. I'm putting myself in something of an awkward position by doing this. I'm aware, and a vulnerable one. He could arrest me like this. He could expose my secret identity, and this is the first time he's seen me without my cape, I'm pretty sure. But his expression softens. I could swear I see the corner of his mouth quirk up in a smile. You look familiar. Haven't I seen you before? My heart feels fluttery, and I'm disgusted with myself, but I can't believe that fond tone of voice is directed at me. I think so. I look around. I'm thinking of moving to this area. Nice view of water and everything. Years of eloquent monologues, and I'm reduced to this. Well, we should get coffee sometime. He's smiling properly now, and it's blinding. It always has been. It's nice to finally meet you. I do like this story. It's a bit slow, but I do like the details. So, yeah, I think this is a cute story. Alright, I think we have time for one more. I saw this right after Autumn Walks. Oh no, where'd it go? Autumn Walks. What? No. Okay, I have to go back to the... No, wrong one. Oops. I have to go back to the account. Blogger Buddies. Alright, I saw this one and I actually really liked it. So, it's by Short Love Stories. Thank you again to this author. I really like this author. Let's get right to it. Her back was pressed against the cold metal locker door. Head bent over a blank page and a pen clutched in a death grip between her fingers. Her hand moved softly over the paper, shaping small block-like figures as she poured all of her feelings into the page, her lips pressed tightly together in concentration. Class had ended almost an hour ago, leaving the halls empty and quiet, just like she liked it. Not like most people would stay for too long after the first day of school anyways. She threw her head back in frustration, banging her head against her locker door. What's wrong with me today? Think, Lynn. My brain feels like mush. Maybe because I didn't sleep at all last night? Man, I should really drink more coffee. Oh, that reminds me of that one time. Trying to give yourself a concussion? Lynn snapped back into reality. Oh, she stuttered. Just trying to jog my memory. She looked at the boy standing in front of her. A backpack was thrown over his shoulder so effortlessly it looked intentional, and his halo eyes turned towards her as the corners of his mouth turned up into a simple smirk. Does attempting to give yourself permanent brain damage usually help? Not really, but it's better than just staring at my paper. She looked down at her journal, hoping that backpack boy would get the hint and leave her alone. Somewhere close by the rusty hinges of a locker squealed, and she glanced up to see him emptying stuff into a locker one away from her. Looks like we're going to be locker buddies, he said, tossing an elephant-sized chemistry book into the bottom shelf. I guess so. There goes that smirk again. Name's Jared. And with that, he plopped down beside her. What you writing? Not much. The words barely escaped her mouth. Why couldn't I have an ugly locker buddy? Could be the start of something new. End it? Okay. Alright. I think my favorite story My favorite story would have to be I think the first one I read. Yes, that one was so cute, and the makes you feel ooey gooey, gushy gushy, you know, not ooey gooey, but you know, the love type. Oh, it's so cute. I really like that one. All the other stories were good as well, well written. Shout out to all those authors. Thank you. I appreciate you for writing that, and continue writing. If anyone sees this, please continue to write, or if you want to write, please write. I love reading stories, I love reading, and I love writing. So possibly in the future, I will put my own stories on here. Horror, sad, love, comedy, any of those. But my go-tos would be romance and horror. Those, I love writing about those. So. And thank you for all of those who take the time writing. All of your creative minds, please push it out there. Do whatever you want to do. If you think you want to write, write. If you want to do something else, do it. Just do it. Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. This will be up on the 24th, so thank you for tuning in. And with that, we will end today's story session. All right, goodbye, y'alls.